All right, I want you to open your Bible to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, I'm not preaching out of that, I just want to see if it's in your version. Second Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17 says this, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Let's bow our heads and let's talk to the author of these words. Father, Father, it's good to be saved. It really is. And it's good to be in church. Lord God, you bless these people for being in church. Thank you, God, that they would come. There are people here that visited. Bless them, Father, for being here tonight. God, as I told these folks, I've never spoken to anybody on this. I don't know how well I can convey anything, and I'm not sure how well I want to. But I pray something will be said, that you will use this in some way to be a help to somebody, God, that they might decide to fight on, that they might decide to keep on going. That's what it's about, Lord, until you come or take us home. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. Well, all right, I'll tell you what happened. You know, I got saved June 14th, 1970. I was a lost Roman Catholic. I was a drunk. I was in the bar every night. And for about 3 months, I'd been invited to this Baptist church I told you about this morning. And for about 3 months, I'd been going to that church. And on that particular morning, a missionary to the Philippines was preaching. He got done preaching. He gave the invitation. I stepped out. I came forward. I got on my knees. I trusted Jesus Christ, my personal Savior. Guys, I got to tell you something. I never got over it. I didn't say I lost it. I don't believe you can lose it, but I'm afraid some folks got saved, but they got over it. And it's like I got saved yesterday. That's how I feel. That's how excited I am about it. That's how, you've heard that thing about I'm looking for the second blessing, and I'm one of those guys never got over the first one. That's just how it is. And as soon as I got saved, almost immediately I jumped in. In fact, I got saved on Sunday. You know what I did Tuesday night? Here's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, I went to visitation. Because I thought now that I was saved, I was supposed to be in church every time the doors were open. I was in the bar 7 nights a week. I only went back to the bar 2 times after I got saved. Never had a drink. I went back there because some of you that got saved late in life, well, if you got saved late in life, you probably labored under the same false assumptions that I labored under. Two false assumptions we all labor under. Number one, we think our friends and family have not heard the gospel, and we think they'll be excited when we tell them. And I just thought all my drinking buddies at Old Timers Bar were just wringing their hands to hear the gospel. Man, it was not thus, okay? So the first time I went back to tell them I got saved. The second time I went to tell them that I was going away to Bible school, that I was called to preach. I went to Bible Institute 10 weeks after I got saved. When I went to Pensacola Bible Institute, I still had long hair, see-through body shirts, bell-bottoms, open-toed sandals, and I pulled in that red, white, and blue Volkswagen. And it is another story, but it did float. But I went down there. I spent my first year there. In fact, I tell people I'm probably the only graduate of the Pensacola Bible Institute who has never enrolled. I didn't know you were supposed to enroll. I just showed up. Now, I got in by osmosis because they made me pay my bill. I figured if I have a bill, I must have been in, all right? But then I came home from my first year of Bible college and went to visitation. You say, why? Because I thought now that I'm saved, I'm supposed to be there every time the doors are open, all right? And on visitation, I met my wife. She didn't visit me. I didn't visit her. We were both at visitation. This Church 5000, the college career class was 425 college-age young people, and the youth director would walk out with he'd walk out with a set of 3x5 cards, and he'd go, you, go make these calls. You, go make these calls. Well, we were 2 of the yous. And the Lord smote my heart that night. I asked God for a wife. I'll tell you what happened. This got nothing to do with the pain, but it's got to do with the blessing. I was at Bible college. There was a guy there that was from the Navy. He was in the Navy. And he brought this girl. He says, I brought this girl. She's 20 years old. I was 20 years old. And he said, she's Roman Catholic. And I just led her to the Lord. She's in the Navy. And maybe you could help her. Man, look, I don't want to say anything derogatory about this girl, but if you look up ugly in a dictionary, they still got her picture there. All right? I mean, I kept checking my watch, brother. It was stopping there. This girl was really just, okay, I'll just say heavily unsightly. And so, but I talked to her, and that was that. And I went back that night, and I told the Lord this. You got to be careful what you say. I said, boy, Lord, I'm sure glad you want me to marry somebody like that. And he said, what if I do? Well, you're really in trouble. Because if you say, I won't, he's going to say, marry her. And if you say, I will, he's going to say, marry her. So I said, Lord, I think I need to put in an order for a wife. And I've always wanted somebody that was beautiful. I wanted somebody that could cook. I wanted somebody to treat me good. And when I got down to preach, I forgot to ask all that. And instead I said this. I said, God, I want somebody who I can love you. I never want her to be my first love. I want to love you more than I love her. Now, I'll love her second, more than any other person. But I said, I want you to be my first love, and she understands that. And I don't ever want her to love me first. I want her to love you. I will be her second. And that night on visitation, I met that lady. At the end of summer, of that year, I was just ready to go down for my second year of Bible college. I asked Kathy to marry me. Went down for the second year of Bible college, came back up. During about the end of the second summer, one more year of school to go, we got married, went on our honeymoon, and then went down to Pensacola. Now, I am from the north. There's another way to say that, winning side. Okay? And I never went down there and ever wanted to be a pseudo-Southerner or a pretend Southerner or anything like that. So when I graduated, my car was already pointed north, idling. We were ready to go. And so we took off, came back up to Ohio. I was called into evangelism when I was in Bible college in 1971. And so I got out. Pardon me. I got out in May, and in June, started my first meetings in evangelism, Kath and I, on the road. We had a house then, but we were on the road. We got married on August 12th, 1972. That is another super date, all right, for us. And so August 12th, 1973 was our first anniversary. I had a job working for a Christian guy that had a construction company, and it worked out good because if I had a meeting, I could go take the meeting, and if I didn't have a meeting, I'd have a job. So it worked out real good, and I like construction. I did it before. So August 23rd, 1973, not 2 weeks after our first anniversary, I was building this house. It was all new construction. Now, you guys know anything about construction. You know that probably here, these walls, if they're stud construction, were built laying down. You lay the 2x4, put your plate line down there, you mark it off, you lay your 2x4s down, you nail them on, nail your plate line on, sheathe it, and raise it. And we're on the roof, we're on the second floor. We're on the second floor of a new house. We've built the front wall, and now we're sheathing it. I'm on the end, which is a 4x8 sheet of plywood for strength. And I'm down on my hands and knees. Guys, I'm 4 inches off the floor. You really cannot hurt yourself falling 4 inches. And so I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm nailing these 7 pennies off into this piece of plywood. And as my feet came over the top of the wall, I knew I'm only 4 inches off the floor, so I stood up. But I never looked behind me. And behind me, the one place you didn't want to stand up without looking was the stairwell. That is nothing but an open hole that goes 2 stories into the basement. No steps, no nothing. So what I effectively did is I did a back swan dive, 2 stories into the basement. I went like this. It's funny. I hit the first floor 3 places going through. I hit it here, split my skull, and probably that's when I broke my neck. And I hit it here because to stop myself, I went like this. Isn't that funny? I mean, what did I think was going to happen? Oh, man, I made it. But, and if you know anything about construction, do you know what the stairwell is? Well, that is where every night you sweep the bent nails, broken concrete blocks, and short pieces of 2x4. So I came slamming down on this pile of rubble, split my skull, broke my ribs, and I broke my neck. Now, I've always been this way. If I got hit by a train, first thing I would do is stand up and say, oh, okay. I don't know what. And so I immediately jumped to my feet. And I remember I looked up, 2 stories up, this guy, where I'd just been standing, is looking down at me, and I said, I'm okay, which is the last thing I remember before I woke up in the hospital. I guess I passed out, and they brought an ambulance and took me off the hospital. And I'm in the emergency room, and this doctor came in. I don't know what part of Delhi he was from, but he came in, and he said, how do you feel? I mean, you ask a guy who fell 2 stories that kind of a question. I mean, really, is that a wise question? And I said, well, I hurt. He said, where do you hurt? I said, like everywhere. And I said, what do the x-rays show? And he said, well, the x-rays show, he told me about my ribs. Of course, I had some stitches across my head. And he knew my neck was broken, but he didn't want to tell me. He wanted my doctor to tell me. So he said, well, the x-rays show there's a problem here, but your doctor will take care of that. Well, my doctor is the doctor you heard about that is practicing medicine, because he had never perfected it, and he never looked at the x-rays. He never looked. He said, how do you know? Sure as I'm standing here, he never looked at the x-rays. 4 days later, I'm out of the hospital, and I go back to work. And I worked for the next 2 months with a broken neck. I didn't know I had a broken neck, but I had a problem. I had several problems. My arms would go numb. My neck hurt. My hands, these 2 fingers and thumb, would be numb or would be in pain. And I kept going back to this doctor, and this guy thought it was in my head. And I knew it was a little bit lower. And I remember I went 4 times to this guy, and all 4 times, he is just sloughing it off. And after the 4th time, I'd had it. I walked out, and I told Kathy this. I said, that is enough. We're standing in his reception room. I just walked out, and I said, come on, we're going to a real doctor now. We're going to a chiropractor. And he will snap my neck, and I will be okay. And I went to that chiropractor, and he snapped my neck and killed me. Well, that's the short version of this testimony. Okay, I went to this chiropractor. He would have killed me, but he x-rayed me. And he had the most unique form. You notice that whenever you go to a new doctor, there's always a form. You ever had this, ever had this, ever had this? His form didn't say that. It didn't say, have you ever had a broken arm? It said, have you ever been told you had a broken arm? It didn't say, have you ever had pneumonia? It said, have you ever been told you had pneumonia? Everything was, have you ever been told you have this? And so I'm intrigued by this, and so I fill out this form. And he took the x-rays. I'm filling out the form. He calls me into the examining room, and he goes, have you ever been told you had a broken neck? And here's what I thought. This guy is very efficient. He forgot to put that on the form. That's what I thought. He wants me to, he's got to fill out the form, and then we're going to get to business. And I like a good straight line. I said, well, not this week. And he said, well, you've got one. And he took the x-ray, and he put it up on one of those screens. Guys, he didn't show me my broken neck. I showed him. We're not talking about a hairline fracture, like somebody took a lead pencil and put a line and said, oh, look, my neck's broke. You got 7 vertebrae in your neck. C6 was like this. It was like the broken rung on a ladder. It was snapped. That's how I know. Look, I am not a radiologist, and when I can see it, my doctor could have seen it. My doctor never looked at the x-rays. So I said, right there. He said, yeah. I said, what do we do now? He said, we don't do anything. He said, you are no longer my patient. He said, I've called an orthopedic surgeon. You are taking these x-rays with you right now, and you're going to his office from here. He's ordering the original x-rays, and he said, you are now his patient. Walk carefully. That's the last 2 words he said to me. Now, guys, I saw it myself, okay? But it still is not registering, because I was raised on television. And everybody in the movie, when they break their neck, what happens? They die. Well, I knew I wasn't dead. So I go to this doctor, and I'll tell you when the light began to come on. He had the original x-rays. He got the original ones. He got mine. And they were identical. I broke my neck, it was, this was about November 5th. And he wanted me to take my T-shirt off. Now, look, he had the original x-rays. He had my chiropractor's x-rays that were taken maybe just a couple of hours earlier. But he had to take his own x-rays. Now, you may not understand that, but you have to understand he also had a BMW to pay for. And so I remember I'm in this office, and I'm taking my T-shirt off. And when I bent over like this guy panicked. He goes, Don't bend over. And I thought, well, what's it going to do? Fall off? I mean, I just had visions of my head over in the corner and my body crawling around trying to find it. Me going, over here to your right. Never mind, you can't hear me. But that's when it became serious. And I said, Doc, how serious is this? He said, Sam, you should be paralyzed from the neck down from the accident 2 months ago. But he said, from walking around for 2 months, you should be dead. And he said, you say you work construction. Yeah. He said, if you would have nailed over your head, if I'd have just tilted my head back and nailed, he said, you would be dead. And I said, Doc, you think you can work construction for 2 months and not nail over your head? Any guy ever here work construction? You ever go 2 months without nailing over your head? Yeah, you didn't go to work. All right? I said, I remember driving my boss's dump truck over the landfill and coming off the seat and jamming the headliner. And so I said, what are we going to do? He said, I'm having a bed prepared for you right now. He said, you're going from here to the hospital. And you know what he did? He drilled 2 holes right here. One here and one here. You guys will enjoy this. You know what he used? A brace and bit. Now, lady, remember the old hand-cranked egg beater? Think of that with a drill bit. I remember I'm awake when he's doing this. You got 2 plates in your head, in your skull. There's 2 plates of bone, and they got to put ice tong, like traction, that clamps in, so they have to drill a hole through the first layer of bone. And I'm awake, and I can remember I thought, it sounds like he's drilling through half-inch pine. And I thought, Lord, why did it have to be softwood? Couldn't it be oak? You know? But pine came to my mind. And people say, well, didn't that bother you? It really didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. What bothered me is when he pulled it out like this. That bothered me a little. And believe it or not, on this one side, he went too far and went through both of them. And I went, they found me hanging over a light fixture. But he drilled me 2 holes here, put these ice tongs on. You've seen those big circle electric beds, 2 big chrome wheels. I'm a car guy. They gave me my own chrome wheels. And they ran a rope through the crossbar of the bed, and 20 pounds, the rope came out of the side of the crossbar. For 3 weeks, I was part of that bed. I was roped through it. And I was doing my exercises. I would do like this, and people would come in, and I'd raise the 20 pounds. Yeah. But, and then after a week, they left me in traction for a week trying to pull my neck apart. And then he did something that some Christians have wanted to do for years. He cut my throat. Cut me, I think, here. Took a 5/8 plug of bone out of my hip. Put a groove. I told you there's 7 vertebrae, between 6 and 7, and fused it. I was in the hospital another week after that surgery. Or no, I was in the hospital 3 more weeks after that surgery. 2 of those were in that circle electric bed. I walked around. When he took me out of that bed, they left the tongs. The tongs stuck up this far. I mean, I walked down the hallway. Looked like I was getting reception from like 10 states, you know. And then they sent me home, but I was in a brace, you know. It was a metallic brace that I'd strapped on. It held my chin up here. It held me here. And I was off work for a year. Now, you know, they fixed my broken neck. I mean, that's what you wanted. You know, they fixed my broken neck. But, you know, if you had something heavy sitting on a garden hose and you took it off, there might still be a little indentation in the garden hose. And it's going to take a while before that happens. Well, that's how your nerves are. And my neck had been broken from August 23rd. They did this surgery on November 12th. It was like 80 days, almost 3 months. So they did the surgery, and my hand still hurt. And my arm still bothered me, and I still had pain in my neck. And here's how I figure. This is going to go away because it's fixed. Now, guys, have you ever heard people about this? Some people live in denial. Don't knock that. I think denial is a wonderful place to live. I lived in denial, let's see, about 15 years. Yeah. I lived in denial. I just said, it's fixed and it's going to quit hurting. And the next day it didn't quit hurting, so I said, that's okay. It's fixed and it's going to quit hurting. And it didn't quit hurting the next day. I said, that's all right, because it's been fixed and it's going to quit hurting. And so that went on for about 15 years. And then I started asking God to take care of it. They say, you waited a long time. I asked him. Now, I'm like you. I didn't say, get rid of this because it hurts. I said it the same way you would say it. You know, if I didn't have this pain, I could do more for you. I mean, isn't that how we, it's to God's benefit to help me? And so I went on, well, guys, it's never, ever, ever stopped. And it is pretty much 24/7. That has been, if you are under about 30 years old, I have been hurting every day of your life. Every single day, through the days, through the nights. You cannot hurt for 24 hours. Because to hurt for 24 hours is to never stop. And that's what it is. As far as treatments, you name it, I have worn it, taken it, smoked it, rolled in it, soaked in it. The only two things I've never tried are hypnotism and acupuncture. Don't come and promote one to me. All right? In fact, somebody's sitting there right now going, oh, I know what he needs. No, you don't. And don't come and tell me about it, because I already tried that. And I used to think those people meant well. They don't mean well. They really don't. I'm sorry, they really don't. You say, well, I just think you ought to go natural. You don't believe that at all. You don't believe that at all. You don't believe I should go natural on something. You believe I should be doing what you're telling me to do. If I told you I'm going natural, some kind of application of some natural stuff, and it was the one you recommend, you would tell me why that one doesn't work, and I need yours. Now, I'm sorry, because, guys, 30, 40 years of this, I know it, all right? So I've had therapy. I had this therapy one time. 24-year-old kid is doing my therapy, and he puts me in this traction machine, and it puts tension on and lets it off. Puts it on and lets it off. And he puts me in this, he walks away, and he comes back, and he goes, how you doing? I said, pretty good, but I said, how come I don't feel my legs anymore? You should not joke with a therapist. I have tried just about, I don't know, just about everything, from ice to heat, soaking in a tub, electronic stimulus, 10s units, 11s units, 12 units. I told you about painkillers. I am not big on painkillers. I have painkillers. The problem with painkillers is they work. And when relief is a pill away, it's too easy to get stuck on that pill. I will tell you something else. When I do take painkillers, I do take them, but when I do take them, they don't have a dizzying effect on me, but I feel obligated. I am a writer, okay? I've got some books back there that I wrote to you. Those were written to you. You don't have to buy them, but I'm telling you, they were written for you. When I take a painkiller, I don't work on a book. Not because it has any effect on me, but you should be assured that I've never been on a painkiller when I was writing a book. Okay? All that crazy stuff I say, I get when I'm in my right mind. Don't blame drugs. So that was it. Now, I went, and I kept going back to the doc, and pretty much they've said that, the rest of the vertebrae collapsed. And the standard, some of you have heard this from your doctor. You need surgery, but go as long as you possibly can. Well, my advice would be, go as long as you possibly can. Really, Because if you go too early and it messes you up, you'll wish you had waited. If you wait as long as you possibly can and it messes you up, you know what you'll say? Oh, I couldn't stand anymore anyway. Really, you want to hold off as long as you possibly can. And I'll tell you what happened. Now I would have the pain. It would manifest itself, pain in the neck, headaches, pain across the shoulders, down the arms, numbness in the hands and arms. And here's how you start. You start out with several hours of bad pain. Then it becomes a day of pain. Okay, so you got, like in a week, 6 days of no pain and a day of bad pain. Then pretty soon you got like 4 days of pain and 3 of not pain. Then it's 6 days of pain and a day of no pain. Then it comes down to the hours when you don't hurt. And by 2008, if I would maybe inside of a year, twice, every 6 months, I would go 20 minutes by the clock. I would wake up with no pain, and I knew I was good for 20 minutes, which is really a good deal, okay? And I remember I was up in Michigan, way up in Michigan. Kathy was in Billings, Montana. I flew this meeting way up in, I'm 2 hours from a little airport, which then is going to take me to Detroit, and then I'm going to make my way into Billings. The meeting ended on Wednesday night. And I woke up Thursday morning. The guy's going to be coming in, an hour or something to pick me up. These 2 guys are going to take me to the airport. And I woke up that morning, no pain. And the problem is, I can't really take advantage of it because I'm waiting for somebody to take me to the airport. But I just kind of excited. I said, well, no pain. I got 20 minutes. I don't mean 19, and I don't mean 21. It was 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, when the pain came back, it brought every relative, distant cousin, and anything else it had. And I remember they picked me up. I'm in the car. Now, one of the things about pain, if you do this right, people shouldn't know it, okay? And so I'm in this car. What these guys don't know is I want to scream, literally scream. And I'm shutting up. I always say it this way. You could be sitting in a chair in a room saying nothing, and you wear yourself out because you're fighting 3 invisible bobcats. And if you fought 3 bobcats, that would kind of wear on you. They got me they never did know. They got me to the airport. I got on this plane, which was taking me to Detroit. I'm telling you, when they closed the door on that plane, I almost stood up and said, let me off. I can't stand this. But here's how I reasoned. And what am I going to do? I got to get out of there somehow. So just shut up and tough it out. Flew to Detroit. Flew to Billings. I got off the plane in Billings, and Kathy walks up to me, and she said, what is wrong? I said, how do you know? She said, you're pale. And I said, babe, I don't know what happened, but whatever happened, happened. I said, I think it's over. And it was. I canceled the next 6 months of meetings. I got an appointment with the Leatherman Spine Institute here in Louisville, Kentucky. And for the next 2.5 months, I would every night, if I had to sit, when I lay down in bed at night, my wife would lay my head down. When I got up, she would lift me up. If I sat in a chair, she would lay my head back, and I couldn't get out of the chair. She would raise my head up. Just about every night, I would wake up screaming. Just too much pain. And so they took me into this Spine Institute. This is a blessing. I got in, my surgery was scheduled for Tuesday. I get in on Thursday, went to church Sunday. My surgeon was teaching the adult Sunday school class. He's a good man. His name's Mitchell Campbell. Tremendous Christian man, good man. And it's his son that's marrying Buddy Blunthal's daughter. And so, they prepared for the surgery. Now, guys, your pastor knows me. Okay, you don't know me, but your pastor knows me. And he knows this is not me. My wife knows this is not me. But, they drug you up before they send you in. They give you some kind of a shot, so you're about half out of it before they ever, knock you out. And Kathy says, do you remember the last thing you said before they took you into surgery? I said, no. I said, I remember they gave me a shot. I don't remember anything until I woke up in recovery. I said, what did I say? She said, before they took you in, you said, I don't care if I die. Now, guys, that's not me. Look, I have never, ever in the last 40 years, 40 years? What is it, 40 years? Yeah, 40 years. Or 30 years, I have never had any desire to kill myself. It has never been an option. I have never thought about it. I have never said, I can't take anymore. I don't do it. Never has. It's never. I don't want to die. I'm not afraid of dying. I know this, guys. I have got one time around like this. And when it's over, it's over. And it's not going to be over any sooner than God wants it to be if I can have anything to do with it. I am not pulling the trigger on myself. I am not playing the violin and feeling sorry for myself. And I'm not killing myself. So you'll just have to pray something else. But so in that one, they had the vertebrae had collapsed. And what they did, I told you now, got C6 and 7 refused back in 73. They took C5 out, ground it to powder, put it in a little titanium cage, drove it between 4 and 6, and put a titanium plate over there. Guys, I don't care what you think. I've got medical proof. My head is screwed on straight. I got a titanium plate right there. You know what a blessing that is? That is a blessing. I live for the day the Muslims try to cut off my head. I see them that time me to a chair and they go, we're going to cut off your head. I'm going to say, bet you can't. You bunch of failures. I bet you can't cut off my head. Oh, yeah? What's this? I told you couldn't. But get this. The last thing I said before I went into surgery was, I don't care if I die. First thing I said in recovery was, I don't hurt. I hadn't said that in 30 years. And so, it's been 40 years, 41 years, I guess. I'm trying to get this all straight math. I was public school educated. And so I did not hurt for the next 2.5 years. Brother, I always say this. Do you know what it's like to not hurt for 2.5 years? Brother, I'll tell you what happened. We, on a drive, we limit it to about 500 miles a day. Again, I was telling your pastor, I think it was today, Motorhome Magazine did an article one time. They said driving a motorhome down the road is like your house experiencing a 3.5 earthquake. Now imagine if you had an earthquake here every 4 days. Then the wall that doesn't crack this week cracks next week, or the next week, or the next week, or the next week. But that means for 8 and 10 and 12 hours, you have that kinetic energy going through. When we went on the road 28 years ago, my wife had a good back. She doesn't anymore. That just destroyed it. I started out with a bad neck, bad back, got a low bad back at the belt line from a different injury, and then the neck. But we would drive about 500 miles just to limit it, okay? And the first drive we had, we left Pensacola, Florida, to go to California, and I told Kathy, I said, I don't hurt. It was like an epiphany. I said, I don't hurt. I said, I feel like I could drive all the way to California. We drove 750 miles. I felt wonderful. And that went on for about 2.5 years. And in November, this was July of 2008, they did that second surgery. And then in November, the pain came back. Not the arms, but the head. Because in your spine, I get this right, these two may be reversed, but if you got 7 vertebrae, the bottom 4 for me are solid. So I only have 3 that have any movement. If you have a problem with vertebrae number 1 and 2, between there, that gives you headaches. If you have a problem between 2 and 3, that gives you insomnia. If you have a problem between 3 and 4, that stops your breathing. You remember Christopher Reeve, the guy that played Superman, broke his neck, fell off a horse, and he could not breathe on his own because he broke his neck at C3. That is the nerves that operate your diaphragm, and that's what makes you breathe. So once those nerves were broken, the diaphragm was paralyzed, and he breathed with a machine the rest of his life. And so I only have 1 vertebrae that really is functioning right, C3. 1 and 2 are bad, everything else is solid, and 3 has gone down. It's all pretty. In fact, when I was in recovery, the doctor that did this told Kathy, said, he needs another surgery today. The guy just got done cutting on me a half an hour ago. He said, he needs another surgery today. His whole neck is junk, and there's nothing to be done for it, as far as stopping the deterioration. And so I went on, and the headaches came in. It got really severe about November of 10, and it kept on going. Now this is, I'm kind of analytical. And I said, if you look at this, I had a surgery, the first surgery in 1973, and the second surgery in 2008, 35 years later. And the third surgery third surgery was 5 years later, and the next problem was 5 months later. And I said, if you graph that out, that is the flight path of a plane wreck. All right? And so pretty much I'll tell you what the standard is now. Well, anyway, I'll tell you what happened. You're always looking for something. Always looking for something to help. And so I was in California in 2012. I heard about this guy in Southern California that gives you a shot in the neck and everything is fine. And if it ain't with a 45, it ain't going to be fine, all right? And so this guy, he gives me these shots in the neck, and the next day. Now, up to that point, all the pain was from here up. This guy gives me these shots in the neck. The next day I wake up, not only do I have the headaches, but both arms have gone south on me. It feels like the bones in my hands have been broken, and somebody skinned my arms and put lacquer thinner on them. And that was the result of that treatment. And so that led, was this 12 or 13, Bill? 12, wasn't it? Yeah. That was May of 2012. In October of 2012, we went down to the Spine Institute, the Laser Spine Institute that you see advertised on television in Tampa, Florida. And they went in the right side in the back. I've been cut here. That was 73. I was cut over here. That was 08. I was cut here. That was 2012. I've only got one spot left. I'm going to auction this off, okay, or have a zipper put in there, you know. But they went down and they cleaned out the channel, the canal for the nerves from right arm, and they literally drilled a hole in the vertebrae to just give the nerve some expansion room. And I woke up, again, from that surgery, my right arm, no pain. Left arm, about 90. When those arms hurt, this one was the worst one, and so that's why we had them fix this one. And I woke up from that surgery, no pain in this arm, and about 90% of this taken care of. And at that rate, because we figured if this works, maybe a year from now we'll do the left arm. I told Kath, I said, hey, 10%, I can handle this. I can handle this. And then, but I still have the headaches. So I went to, I got a good doctor friend in Texas. Now, he's a podiatrist. If you don't know what that is, that's a foot doctor, which is as far removed from my problem as it can be. And he was one of my young people about 35 years ago. And so I sent him an MRI and a CAT scan, and I said, you got to know some doctor. Take this to a neurosurgeon and see what they can do. He took it to 4 neurosurgeons. Every one of them brought the stuff back and said, I won't touch him. There's nothing you can do for him. That's it. Now, I was telling you, Pastor, and you know, literally you lose a way of gauging what pain is. You've heard this 1 through 10, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10. That doesn't work. And I'll tell you why. Because there's only a couple of times when something happens that you can get a benchmark. And somewhere around, I don't know, 9 or 10, 09 or 10, I got shingles. I got shingles on the back of my neck, my shoulder, and my back. Now, you know how bad shingles are? And I told Kathy, I said, babe, I said, my pain must really be bad. She said, why? I said, because shingles are a piece of cake. I would stand in line to get shingles. I would. Now you say, oh, you didn't have them bad. Of course not. No, I didn't have them like you. I just had cancer taken off my face. And the doc was, you know, he did a bunch of manipulating. I had a big old bruise over here. And he said, now you're going to be hurting right here for about 3 days like a really bad toothache. I never had, it wasn't minor pain. I never had any. This was just 2 months ago. 1 month ago? 1 month ago, all right? And, I mean, guys, there was no pain whatsoever. And I told your pastor, I said, I got a feeling that everybody else's number 1 starts around my number 8, okay? In other words, everybody says, I'm a number 8. I think that's my number 1. But that's all right. That's all right. So the status is that I have pain. I never talk about how things are. But this guy asked me. I got a headache in the middle of December 2000, and I think it was 2011, middle of December 2011, and had that headache until the end of May of 2012. 5.5 months. That's 24 hours a day. You dream about pain. You sleep, you are in pain. Now, mind you, not only that, but I got the problem with the bad vertebrae that causes insomnia. The motorhome, one of the best things it has, I have to have one. I have to have a recliner. I spend a lot of time just sitting in a chair at night. And so status today. Today is I've had a headache for a little over 2 weeks that is really, really grinding me. All right? Both hands feel crushed. Both arms feel skinned. Nobody's put any lacquer thinner on them yet. So I'm not too bad, okay? And that is the status, but that's my condition. Believe it or not, now I want to talk to you about how to live with pain. Because you need to know, everybody has pain, and you need to know how to live with it. Number one, don't feel sorry for yourself. Nobody likes somebody to feel sorry for themselves. Good night. You pastors, musical. My wife, she can play the piano, she can play the harp, she can play the auto harp, she can play the French horn, she can play the accordion. I can play the radio. But that's really not true. There is one musical instrument that I can play. I can play the same one you can play. Now, somebody just said, "Preacher, I don't play one." You all play one. The violin. Come on, don't you have a friend and you ask them, "How are you doing?" and you really regret that? You know you're in trouble when you say, "How are you doing?" and they pull out the violin case. "How am I doing?" Blink, 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 blink. How am I doing? I'll tell you how I'm doing. That's okay, don't bother. Now I'm going to tell you why you feel sorry for yourself. There's only one reason you do it. Nobody else will. There's nothing worse. It's kind of like a good steak that goes uneaten. Somebody ought to have people feeling sorry for them, and nobody will. So you try to jumpstart it. You know what happened to me today? I don't care. You say, "Preacher, that's not compassionate." I don't even care about that. I was in a church. This 82-year-old lady, bless her heart, man, she's walking out, and she says, she shakes my hand. She goes, "I'm 82 years old. Do you know what happened to me when I was 8 years old?" And I'm thinking, lady, you're not supposed to remember what happened when you were 8 years old. That lady needs some help here. And then I thought about this. This is where I think, now you think about this. Right now, go back to your last bad memory. You're 82 and you don't stop till you hit 8? That's been a pretty good life, pal. Amen. I mean, man, her teen years she must have been in a coma. I had this one lady, my line, and I do mean it. I don't just say it. I ask people, "How are you doing?" I remember, you know you're in trouble when you say, "How are you doing?" and the woman starts at her baby's second dirty diaper and comes all the way through history. And the kid's 25. "How you doing?" "Well," I go, "uh-oh." And this lady went on and on and on. And I said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, I have to go. I have to be at my birthday party." She goes, "Is it your birthday?" I said, "Well, it wasn't when you started." Anyway. But the very next night she's walking out. And I forgot, And I shook her hand. I said, "How are you doing?" I went, ooh. I said, "Why did I ask you? Because you're going to tell me." Guys, don't feel sorry for yourself. Because I'll tell you what happened. See, here's what happens. You say this: "I'm in pain, and people need to feel sorry for me." And they're not feeling sorry for me, so I'll tell them how much pain I'm in. I'll kind of show them how to do this. Nobody wants to be around a person like that. Nobody wants to be around somebody that is playing the violin all day long. I know a lady, and her husband was a preacher, and he committed adultery. He was completely, 100% wrong. And this happened probably 15 years ago, and if you were around this lady, you couldn't stand being around her for 5 minutes because she's still talking about it. And she plays the violin, and then she goes, "And all my friends avoid me." That's because they can't stand hearing about this for 15 years. And I'm telling you guys, nobody, and especially men, I'm sorry, but whining men, Let me tell you what's wrong. Oh, shut up. I'm not your mom. So, don't feel sorry for yourself. That means don't feel sorry for yourself in private. Because if you feel, it is a spirit. Well, nobody knows what I'm going through. That's still feeling sorry for yourself. Maybe you're not telling anybody else. It is bad for you. Okay, so don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't talk about it. I don't talk about it. I'm doing this for your pastor. Actually, I'm not. He asked me to. He said, you got some folks here in the church that have some pain. I'm hoping something I say will help whoever you are. That's what I'm hoping. And it's the only reason I'm doing it. But don't talk about it. You have to, a couple of things. Number one, learn to lie. I fake it, brother. I'm a liar. I'm a liar. People say, how you doing? Fine. Now again, please understand, you say you're lying. Well, actually not. My definition of fine is way different than yours. Fine is, I don't want to hit myself in the head with a ball-peen hammer. Most days, I would just like to go screaming down the street, pulling my hair. Maybe I should just go down screaming down the street, pulling my hair. What am I supposed to do? But don't talk about it. Nobody wants to hear about it. And you can't, look, you got it. You got pain, okay? Don't talk about it too. Think about this. If I'm in a room and there's 15 people in that room and I'm hurting like crazy and none of them know it. All right, there's 16 of us in that room. How many are suffering? One. If I tell them all about it and they understand, now 16 are. Do you want to spread pain? I don't want to be, when you're a friend, people shouldn't feel bad because you've been around. And if you're going to go around there and tell them how tough it is and how horrible you feel, they're going to feel bad. Is that what you want? So shut your mouth. And I don't talk about it. I tell people, you learn to fake it. I fake everything. Give you an example. When you hurt, you have a tendency to hang your head. You ever see anybody in a nursing home and they're sitting in a wheelchair and they're like this? You know why? Because they can't take the situation they're in. They are overcome. It is a very difficult thing for me when I sit. When I'm in the motorhome alone, I have a tendency to want to, I just want to, I can't take this. And I make myself sit up. Don't give in to that. You know what I do? I call it retraining. Every now and then I'll do something that really messes me up, and I have to retrain, which means fake it. When I walk across the parking lot, if nobody sees me, I don't mean somebody's watching me, but if I walk across the parking lot, I say, walk like you don't hurt. Don't walk like you hurt. I train myself. I fake it. I jumped a step coming up here. I always take 2 steps at a time if I can. And I'm sure people say, well, man, for a guy with a bad neck, he sure is spry. I'm faking it. And I'm going to keep it up. All right? You say, why is that? Because you or me couldn't stand it if I told you how I felt. Or if I acted like it. Here I am. Open your Bible. I'll try to bless you from God. Nobody wants that. Really, nobody wants that. So learn to lie. I tell guys, I said, when they ask me, how are you doing? First off, there's a whole lot of people, it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry, but there's some, you got to be real close to me for me to talk to you about how I feel. And the average church member says, how are you doing? I'm going to tell you, I'm doing fine. You say, why? I don't want to talk about this. Part of it is, I don't want to talk about it for your sake. I don't want to talk about it for mine either. All right? So, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't talk about it. You have to remember this. If you have chronic pain, remember this. Sometimes your spouse is sick. Sometimes they hurt. And you know, it's so easy. You know what you think? You want to be the sympathy magnet. Anybody who has sympathy, it should go to me. Don't you know I've been hurting for 40 years? How dare you feel bad, woman? See what I'm saying? My wife has a bad back. My wife has shingles in her eye right now. You know what it's like to have shingles in your eye? You know what I try to remember? She has headaches. I try to sympathize with her. Because when you have chronic pain, you tend to think I'm the only one anybody should feel sorry for. And then you almost play this, well, I'll see your pain and raise you a pain. Boy, my neck is really bad today. Kathy says, well, I got a headache. She goes, I got a headache. Well, my back hurts. She goes, that's funny, my back hurts too. My knee hurts. Shut up. I mean, that's it. You want to out-pain somebody. And you have to be careful of that. And you know what happens? Now, listen, my wife, because think about this. You know my pain right now, I believe sometimes is harder on her than it is on me because she loves me. The reason I don't talk about pain is because if I could convey to you how I hurt, you would feel the same way. You think I want to spread that much pain? I don't want to spread that much pain. But that lady knows. She knows. She knows how many times in the last 2 weeks I've slept in the chair. She knows how many times I've called out in the night yelling because I turned wrong. She sees me read my Bible and my head just coming apart. And it is killing her because she would do anything to keep me from hurting. All right? But the problem is then the one who's not in pain has pain. And we who are in pain think she doesn't have a right to have it. Yes, she does. And she needs to, and look, pal, if you're hurting so stinking bad, then you should know how to feel sorry for somebody, shouldn't you? And so you ought to. I try to be very gracious. Tell them I'm gracious. Anyway, I forgot to put that in the notes. But really, so remember, and you say, well, I'm not married. Well, somebody, you know somebody, the people at work, your friends, your family, whatever the case may be, remember there are other people that suffer in some way. And look, you know what happens? Somebody says, oh man, I got a headache. And you go, you think you got a headache? Let me tell you. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody needs to hear that. They don't need to hear it. Fourth thing, be nice. Be nice. Ask my wife. I hear this guy, he jumps all over his wife and he goes, well, honey, I'm in pain, and that's all right. Hold on. If you're in pain, be you the man or the woman, you better be nice to your husband or your wife. You say, why? Because they're the ones got to put up with you. My wife finds my pain almost unbearable. I don't think she finds me unbearable. Would that be? She doesn't. I am good to my wife. Ask her. I am nice to my wife. I am always kind to her. I tell her every day that I love her. I tell her every day that she's beautiful, but that's because I love her every day, and she is beautiful. So it's kind of easy to do. But there's two reasons why you need to be nice. Number one, there is no excuse on chewing people up and being short-tempered because of pain. But here's another one, and you really need to get this down. This is kind of an observation. There's no scripture for this, so you don't have to accept it. My observation is that what you are in life, when you get old, you are that accentuated. So if you are a cross person, when you get to the nursing home, you're unbearable. If you are nice, 30 years from now, you'll even be nicer, believe it or not. You find those people in nursing home, and they're in a way, look, preacher, it's good to see you. And they're hands all gnarled up with rheumatoid arthritis, haven't got a complaint in the world, bet they never did. They've always been that way, and I bet they're even better than they were. You find somebody that's the way they were before. You better train yourself. Guys, you've got to train yourself to be nice. Now, what I'm going to say next, don't take this wrong that this is this far down the list, but read your Bible. Read your Bible. I call this, I'm a believer in the Bible, a believer in book, chapter, and verse for this and all that, but I call those Bible Band-Aids. You're depressed, read this verse. If you're lost your job, read this verse. If you're hurting, read this verse. If your mother is coming to visit, read this verse, this verse, this verse, this verse, this verse. Buy a gun, change the locks. Or buy the gun and don't change the locks. But guys, you need to read the Bible. You need to read the Bible. Not just because of what it says. Yeah, what it says will help you. But see, that's what I call a Bible Band-Aid. You keep reading this verse, and you say, I'll read this until I feel good about this. I'll feel better if I just keep reading this verse. Well, maybe that won't do it. But let me ask you this, guys. No, look. Let me tell you what's different about this book. And every book on that those tables back there, and every book in every bookstore, and every book on every shelf. This book is spiritual. Okay? You guys know what, I've never been to one of those, the tanning salons. You go in there, is that what you said? Oh. I understand the principle. I turn on this light, I don't have to do anything. I just have to let the light hit me. That's how I look at this book. I just need to be exposed to it. Now, I don't mean like hold it here and something different happens, but guys, here's what I'm saying. Because it's a spiritual book, it doesn't just do something to your brain, but it does something to your spirit when you read it. And you may say, because I hear people that say this all the time, well, I read my Bible today, and I didn't get nothing from it. How do you know? You don't know that. Well, I can't remember a thing I read. I'm so cold and backslid. Who says? Well, who cares if you can't remember it? You know what I remember? I remember as a little kid taking a chair from the kitchen table, pushing it over to the kitchen sink, climbing up on the cabinet top, getting a glass, and stand on that chair and get myself a glass of water. And then I got to where I didn't need the chair, but if I stood on my toes, I could just reach the water. And I remember this. One day, I went over and I went, I said, wait a minute. I didn't do that standing on my toes. I didn't do that stretching hard. And now that I think of it, I've been getting water like that for a while. That was the day I realized I had grown. And guys, if you will read this book and 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 don't stop until you die or until you hear a real loud trumpet, that book will help you. All right? Some days, guys, you know, and look, I tell people, and I'll probably say something about this, I tell you how to read a proverb for the date. This would be a good time to start. Today is first. A proverb for the date. That'll put you through the book of Proverbs 12 times a year. I think you ought to read 10 pages. Didn't say chapters. I said pages. Start at page 1, read to page 10. Next day, page 20. Next day, page 30. Read 10 pages a day. That'll put you through your Bible 3 to 3.5 times a year. That's good exposure. Okay? That's good for you. And keep reading it and reading it and reading it. And let this book get inside you. And then I get this. Here comes the whining man. Well, preacher, when I read 10 pages a day, I get a headache. What should I do? Look, I told you, I'm not your mom. You're looking for compassion? This ain't the guy. I tell him, I said, if you want somebody to just kind of sit in your living room, hold your hand, and feel your pain, I am not your guy. But the government has the guy. If you dial 1-800-YOUR-GUY, they'll send him. He'll bring a check from the government, slap your parents, sue your boss, anything you want, okay? But I tell them this. I said, you know, when they say, well, I read 10 pages a day, I get a headache. What should I do? I said, read it with a headache. And they look at me like I just cussed them. Now, guys, I read 30 pages of my Bible every day. This gold marker is my proverb. I read 20 pages of the Old Testament. That's the red ribbon. 10 pages of the New. That's the blue ribbon. 30 pages puts me through it every 45 days, 8 times a year. I read it in excruciating pain. There are days when I get out of bed, I read my Bible, I go back to bed, and I ask God, give me 1 good hour tonight in front of that church and have nobody know there's anything wrong. When I get done, I go back and get in bed. But I get my Bible reading done. But you see, but that in itself builds character in you. You're as strong as what it takes to stop you. And if a headache is all it takes to stop you, you're stopped, pal. Because once you stop, you're stopped. And so read that book and read that book and read that book. Read other encouraging stories. Really, this book came about from the fact I read a lot. and I read reality. I'm not down on fiction. I'm none of that vampire garbage. Come on, man, you don't got no business. And Stephen King and all that junk. You ought not be reading that. But I read the real thing, and there's some stuff in here you just cannot believe what takes place. And in my letter that I send out a letter about every month and a half, 2 months. I have a little paragraph called "Fight On," and I would share, if I can use that word, I would share them in my letter. Well, my problem was that some of the stories were more than a paragraph. And I said, I'm going to put them in a book. And I'm going to put them in a book so that somebody that is hurting may read that, because some of this stuff has helped me. When I read what some of this stuff these people go through, man, it kept me going. So read other things. Read something that will help you. You don't need to read much about philosophies and all this other slop, but read something that encourages you, all right? Remember this, somebody's worse off than you. Nothing chills me. Nothing. Nothing chills me like when I walk into a restaurant and I see a guy sitting in a wheelchair that he moves with a straw, because that's supposed to be me. I always keep that in mind. You know, I lost my voice when they did the surgery in '73. I lost my voice for 4 months. In fact, we were talking about this surgery. I told you about the surgery undid the good surgery. We may end up having another surgery on the neck in December this year. But anyway, I see a guy in a wheelchair, and I see that, and I'm thinking, I lost my voice for 4 months, and then I lost it for about 2 weeks. My vocal cords have never come back. Your vocal cords work on a bellows principle, air blowing across them, and for sake of some kind of illustration, let's say it takes 5 pounds of pressure across your vocal cords to make them work. Mine takes about 8. I will get sometimes, I'll do this at the end of a sentence. I'll run out of air because I'm putting more air out, okay? And you say, well, don't you feel bad about that? Are you kidding me, man? I've been talking for 40 years. I'm supposed to be in a bed right now, unable to scratch my nose if it itches or wipe it if it runs. You think I got to complain? You listen, when I get up in the middle of the night and stub my toe, I thank God for the privilege. I really do. I say, oh man, Lord, that is really something else. Plus, it's a different pain. Let's have something new. But remember, there's somebody worse than you. And you need to look around, guys, because you get this thing that, oh, nobody's got it as bad as me. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's folks that got it way. And here's what really bothers me. You know what bothers me about the stories in this book? Lost people. They're not all lost. But when I read lost people get through stuff that Christians get mad at God and quit on Him for, I think somebody needs kicked in the head. All right? And so, just remember, somebody has got it worse than you. Don't spiritualize your pain. I get this all the time. I say it this way, guys, and somebody's here tonight like this. Everybody has a cure for a disease they don't have. Oh, yeah. Everybody. Oh, just put this magnet on your foot and you'll be okay. Just wear this clove of garlic. Just take this, and if you notice anybody with a bent toward the natural stuff, it rotates. Every 3 or 4 years, they got a new magic. Remember when it was barley green? What happened to barley green? And it was calcium. I think right now, I told Kathy, I said, I think the new horse everybody's riding is hyperbolic oxygen. Hyperbolic oxygen chambers. You say, why? Because I've had 3 people contact me and say, that's what I need. But I haven't heard that until here recently. And I'm hearing it from people that before they were telling me I needed barley green or DMSO or I needed marijuana. In fact, I'm leaving for California right after the service. But so I get these people, see, and they go, take this. This will help you. And they don't want to help. Don't you kid yourself. You say, oh, they're just trying to help. No, they don't. They want to brag about they fixed you up. And I had this one guy, he came in and he says, he gives me these things, like inserts for your shoes. He says, put these on the bottom of your feet at night and they'll take all the toxins out of your blood, out of your body, and you'll feel good, your neck. And, of course, it comes from Japan. Of course, anything Oriental we think is superior to anything we do. And so this has the foot, and it has each toe represents something, and this represents the eye, and this represents the lungs, and this is the liver. And I'm looking at this, and Kathy, my wife, she goes, where's the neck? I said, there is no neck. He wasn't trying to help me. He just wanted to be the guy, he just wanted to be the magician. I've never gotten the same person to tell me the same thing twice. Now, I came close. And when they tell me, if I heard it twice, and I've never, that's how I know this is not of God. In fact, I hate to tell you this, guys, but snake oil salesmen are still with us, and there's a bunch of them in our churches. And the only way you sell your stuff is you got to start right off bad-mouthing the medical profession. And yeah, that's right. I mean, these guys went 10 years to college, and they went internship, and finally made it into medical practice, and you read an article in prevention, and you're smarter than all of them. But when you have a problem, your you know what's always different? Our schools, our senator, and my doctor. All congressmen are crooks except mine. All public schools are bad except the one I send my kid to. And all doctors are bad until I need an appendectomy, but I have a good doctor. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. Okay? And so this guy, you know, he says, I know what you need for your neck. Of course you do. You don't have a broken neck. You need you need DMSO. Now, DMSO, you put this on your neck, the instant you put it on your neck, you taste it. So what's it taste like? Ever gargle gasoline? It's kind of like my mother-in-law's coffee. Anyway, but I'd tried this. I'd tried DMSO, and I thought, this guy is telling me, to hear it twice, I got my attention. I said, I tried DMSO, it didn't work. He goes, you did? I said, yes, some guy gave me a bottle of it, and I put it on. He goes, oh, no, you need the cream. I said, get out of here. I had a guy tell me I needed barley green. I said, I tried barley green. It didn't work. He goes, what kind? Barley that was green. Have we narrowed it down? And he says, oh, that's the wrong kind. I'm telling you, you don't believe that the natural way is the way to go. I don't care if you say that. You do not. You believe yours is the way. And this guy says, oh, no, you need this. He tells me his brand. And he says this like, he probably voted for Obama too, you know. He said, this comes from Uruguay, and they wait until the little barley is exactly at the right time to pick it. And I said, right. I said, I can just see Juan Valdez and his burro laying under a palm tree saying, oh, no, guys, they wait another half hour before she's ready to pick. Yeah, I believe that. You believe that? Yeah, and Obamacare is good stuff, too. I believe that. I had somebody give me magnets. Now, we're not talking about, you know, some old bumper sticker magnet. This company, Nikon. These are the Cadillac of magnets. They're form-fit. A collar that goes around, Velcros, you know, everything is magnetized. It didn't help me, but I went through 3 watches. And so it didn't help. I tell them, I said, you know, they said, you need magnets. They said, go break your leg and put a magnet on it. Go ahead, break your leg. I want the bone sticking out of the skin and put a magnet on it and tell me how good your magnet did. And gargle some barley green while you're doing it. And so I'm having lunch, and look, I'm this point. When a couple says, I'd like to have lunch with you, I want to talk to you. I just had this recently. This guy goes, you busy tomorrow? For sure. Yeah, I'm fighting Philistines or something. Whatever you want me to do. I said, why? Well, I got a video on my phone. It's about 12 minutes. I'd like you to see it. I said, well, what's it about? He said, I think it'll help you with your neck. I said, I don't want to see it. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, if you're big... No. 40 years, I've seen it all. I've heard it all. It's all bunk. Amen. And the guy gets so mad, he walked out. And he comes back in. He goes, will you pray about it? I said, nope. I said, pal, it's the same story every time. The only thing that changes is the magic. It's always the same thing. Modern medicine is evil. Doctors don't know what they're doing. Don't go the way of the medical profession. The body is made to heal itself. Where's the book, chapter, and verse for that little truth? You can give me your philosophy. I don't care about your philosophy. I said, where's the book, chapter, and verse for that statement? There is no book, chapter, and verse that says the body is made. I know it heals itself, but you go on some philosophy, and then it becomes a Bible doctrine. Where the Bible is made to heal itself, and then you fill in the blank. I think the whole thing is like just fill in the blank, put in your magic. And so this couple, they said, we'd like to take you out for lunch. They don't take me out for lunch. That's a lie. They want to peddle their magic. So I'm sitting at lunch. They go, have you ever tried magnets? And I thought, wait till they hear. I've used Nikon magnets. I said, yeah, I tried magnets. They didn't work. What kind? I said, Nikon. And the guy goes, oh, well, those are the wrong ones. They're polarized the wrong direction. I said, get out of here. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I was polarized myself about that time. But so here's what happens. I've tried everything. Believe me, you sit there and say, well, you're not giving it a chance. I gave it 40 years, bucko. You try something for 40 years. Then you can talk this way. Somebody, some woman, somewhere out there, I'm going to hunt this woman down. She sent something, and Kathy, they sent it in the mail. And Kathy says, supposed to rub this on your neck. I said, I'm reading my Bible. I said, forget it. I'm not trying it. She said, well, you ought to try it. I said, I'm not trying it. It never's going to work. I'm not going to try it. My dear wife put some on a washcloth and put it on my neck. It was molten lava. I mean, she put it on my neck. I went, I said, what is that stuff? I mean, I am on fire. And Kathy, bless her heart, she's thinking, oh, it can't be that bad. We're standing around that motorhome road going, If we could have got that woman, brother, she'd know where Jimmy Hoffa is. I'll tell you that right now. We'd put her in a shallow grave. So these people, here's what they do. They give you a magnet, their magic, and they go, you try it? I go, no, I did this for 40 years. Yeah, I tried it. I tried it all. And they go, did it help? And I go, no. And they look at me like, there's something wrong with you. And I go, that's what I was trying to tell you. It's called a broken neck. And so you know what happens? You know what happens? Because all of that natural stuff is based on one word, pride. And the Bible says, by pride cometh contention. And you foist your magic stuff on somebody and it doesn't help them. And you know what you start saying? You must have a spiritual problem. So somebody gave me a book this thick, written by a Christian. You know what you read a book this thick. You know what the final conclusion this guy said? If you have physical pain, it's because you didn't forgive somebody something. And I think that's right, because as soon as I read that, my pain level shot up because I had one more idiot not to forgive. He said, if you have physical pain, it's because you didn't forgive somebody, and if you have chronic illness, it's because of sin in your life. Now, somebody out here, you're going through a chronic illness or 24-hour pain, and you need that too. Don't spiritualize it. Don't do that. But don't spiritualize it on the other side. You say, what do you mean? Look at chapter 11. Chapter 12. Verse 3. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 3. I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. I always tell people, I said, yeah, I used to go to parties like that too. Anyway, God knoweth how he is caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Of such an one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but of mine infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure, through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. When he says this, for this thing I besought the Lord thrice. I can't believe the guy only prayed 3 times. You're looking at a guy, I've lost count how many times I've asked God. I quit years ago, asked God to take the pain away, because He's not going to do it. But I asked Him a whole lot more than 3 times. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, He might depart from me. It might depart from me. He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. All right. People, don't spiritualize your pain as it's something bad in my life and that's why I have it. But don't spiritualize it on the other side that it makes you more spiritual than somebody else. You know, I've been through affliction. You know, God gave Paul a thorn in the flesh, and me too. Who you think you are? I have people come up and they'll go, well, you bought my neck. They'll go, well, you know, I guess you have your thorn in the flesh, don't you? I said, it's not a thorn in the flesh. It's a pain in the neck. Doesn't it say that God gave him a thorn in the flesh because he was so spiritual, he was in danger of being exalted above measure? I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. Ma'am, I don't think any of us in this room are in any danger of being so spiritual we're going to be exalted above measure. And I know all kinds of people. Some guy wrote a book, and his book was just the opposite of the first book I told you. The one guy writes a book, and pain is because of unconfessed sin, and chronic illness is, pain is unforgiveness, and chronic illness is unconfessed sin. The other guy writes it where every Christian in pain is somehow more spiritual than anybody that's not in pain. That's not true. If you're in great pain, you know, you get this, oh, I'm suffering, and so I know more than others. No, you don't. Don't spiritualize it. I don't see anything. I told Kath, I said, babe, I used to think God was smart. I did. I used to think God was smart. I thought he always did the right thing. But I said, you know what He did? 7 billion people on this planet, and He broke the neck of the only one that doesn't know why He broke his neck. Everybody knows why God broke my neck. Numerous Christians that I had a dispute with think that God broke my neck to punish me for arguing with them. Others said, well, God broke your neck so that you would learn how to do this, and so you would be better in the ministry at this. Well, I don't know, because I want you to know something. On that August morning when I broke my neck, had I known I was going to break my neck, and God gave me a heads up. God gave me a heads up. That morning that I broke my neck, it was August 23rd, 1973. 4 years earlier, in 1966, 7 years earlier, in August 23rd, 1966, I was sentenced to Mansfield Reformatory for 2 counts of grand theft auto. Then in August of 73, same day. Oh, I know what it was. August 23rd, 4 years later, was the day I pulled into Pensacola to go to Bible college. And then 3 years later, to that day, is the day I broke my neck. And that morning, I was driving my boss's dump truck. And I can still remember this, guys. I'm driving a dump truck. And I pull up, I'm getting weighed. I'm carrying some sand. And I pull up on the scales. And while the guy's weighing me, I look, and you know these safety posters? There was a little safety poster, and it showed this guy falling in a hole, and it said, be careful of falls. And the reason I know God was warning me, because I remember looking at this thinking, well, that's a stupid thing to think about. I'm in a truck. Oh, what am I going to do? Fall onto the floor? I looked at that. Be careful of falls. I'm driving a truck. I'm not going to fall out of it. Parked the truck that day, broke my neck that afternoon. And if I woke up on that morning all over again, and I knew it was ahead of me, and if you can tell me all the reasons, all the good reasons, and all the wonderful things that came from me broken my neck, I'd have called in sick. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. All right? You say what you want. So you may know why, and what I'm telling you is, don't try to spiritualize it. Don't think that you're spiritually above somebody because you have physical pain, but don't beat yourself because you have physical pain. Don't anybody else beat you either. All right, one last thing. What about the future? My future, to be very honest, guys, Kathy and I are both surprised that we're still on the road. We thought the Lord should have taken us off the road years ago because of the pain. I cannot tell you. My wife can tell you. I mean, I have days, and well, there are some days it gets out of control. But I don't mean I get out of control, but the pain gets out of control. And I really thought that the Lord would have taken us off the road by now. He has not. He has not. So we just keep on doing. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing. Possibly this December, I'll have surgery on the left arm. If I can, if these will straighten up a little bit, I'm going to forego it. If they fix up anything, they'll fix up the hands and the arms. The headaches will always be with me. Those headaches are really, really grinding. But let me tell you what you do about the future. Keep on going. Amen. Just keep on going. I'm going to tell you a little secret. And again, this is carnal, but I'd rather tell you the truth, okay? You know, people ask me, say, how do you get going? How do you keep on going? And you know, it's like these people that get up every morning and skip over to the window and go, oh, perhaps today. Yeah, I'm not a skipper, okay? I ain't skipping the window. And I get up in the mornings, and I say this. I'm standing right beside my bed. And I say, right foot. Left foot. Right foot. Left foot. You say you don't. You want to bet? So how long you do that? Till they're working on their own? I think it. Guys, everything I do, I think. I really do. When I walk up here, I'm telling you, I think. I say, don't show any pain. I try everything I can to not show something. And you keep on going, and you keep on going, and you keep on going. And if you're gonna let it stop you, you're cooked. You're cooked. You're going to keep on going, and keep on going, and keep on going, and keep on going. For about 15 years, I asked God to take this away. And after 15 years, you realize He's not taking it away. And then you ask Him, you use the one word. You know what the one word with pain is? Bearable. Anything that is bearable is bearable. Right? It doesn't matter how bad something hurts. If you say, I can bear this, then you can bear it. And there are days when it's unbearable. And I say, God, just make it bearable. Guys, those books on that table, you know, people ask me all the time, how do you do that? How do you do that and preach every night? I said, I don't have a good golf swing. I work all day long. And there are days, in this last 2 weeks with this headache, I am working on a book that is cataloging every Greek manuscript of the New Testament. Not yesterday, day before yesterday. I'm talking about excruciating headache. I reviewed information on 100 manuscripts. I have sat down and worked writing a book, and the only word to describe it is excruciating pain. But it's part of, here's how I think too. I'm going to hurt anyway. Right? You're going to hurt anyway, so you may as well do something. Just do something while you're hurt. But don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't demand that people sorry for yourself. Don't try to make people sorry for yourself. Just fake it. Act like everything is okay. Because that's a lot better. It really is. And I don't know if that'll help anybody, but why don't you stand? I'm going to have a word of prayer, and then we'll have the piano play after that. And maybe somebody, I don't know if anything that was said will help you, but maybe it's helped somebody. I want to be a help. I wouldn't have talked about this if I didn't think it was going to help somebody. So I hope it is a help. I hope it is a help. But I just realized that it's never going to end. And you have to be careful. Be careful of that, because I get that where this is never going to stop. That's when you get in that panic mode, and you got to back off and take it a day at a time. But I accept it now. On the nights that I can't sleep, I don't sit in my chair and go, "Who do you believe I'm asleep?" I have some of the greatest times with the Lord. I have no complaint. I want you to know this. I stand here before you. I have not one complaint against my God about this. I don't think He was wrong. I don't think it's been too intense. I don't think it's been unfair. He's doing what he wants to do. And besides, guys, scratch my nose. I'm on an airplane. I'm in pain. You know what I said? I said, hey, God, I dressed myself this morning. I fed myself this morning. I carried my luggage. What am I supposed to complain about? I can put my arms around my wife. I'm telling you, it's wonderful, all right? And so I have no complaint against God, but I will. I don't even get depressed about it anymore. I sit up at night, and I mean, there's nights, this week, several nights, I've only got about an hour or an hour and a half sleep. And I'm not upset. I just say, the only thing I worry about is being too tired getting here to this pulpit. I'm a little bit, I've lost my train a couple times here because I'm very tired. But I tell God, I tell him I got no complaint. I praise him. I get tomorrow's Bible reading done because I may take a nap tomorrow, trying to pick up on this sleep. So let's get the reading done now. And I'll tell Kathy, she'll go, you were up last night, weren't you? I said, yeah. I said, where? I said, I had some of the greatest fellowship with the Lord. This is the greatest fellowship. It's so good. I'm telling you, he is such a good, kind, gracious God. He is benevolent. I haven't got a complaint against him. I carry my Bible. I can hold it. I can turn the pages. Guys, if I was going to complain, I'd have to make something up. And I'm not doing that. Let's pray.